No more chance for Harry. Just because Meghan is not allowed to return to the UK does not mean she is forgiven. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Royal Family News YouTube channel. Alright guys, a royal expert now claims that Meghan was informed by the palace in September 2022 that she should never set foot in Britain again. And it was very clear to her that she was no longer wanted. So he can say that returning to Britain is something he doesn't want to do, but the reality is that Meghan has no say in the matter. And at the same time, it seems that Harry is looking for more opportunities in the future to stay in Britain a little longer. He talks about his desire to return to his family without Meghan. Apparently he has already had discussions with the palace and will return one day, like it or not. The problem I see, however, is that Harry could return, but he would no longer be accepted by the public. This means that if Wellchild really wants Harry to show up at a private event, people won't really care or support him. It's possible that Wellchild will discover that his pairing with Harry, this hateful, selfish drug addict, isn't a good representational choice, and they might end up having to find a more suitable replacement. But Harry has to accept one fact. He needs to understand that every time he goes out in public in Britain, with or without his family, he will be booed and probably worse. He must be ready. I hope he comes with his private security, as he is not wanted in the UK. He is not loved, he is not respected, and he is certainly not admired. If the English want to tolerate his presence there, then he must be treated as a minor royal despite being the king's son. And given that Harry has already admitted to being a drug addict and clearly has mental health issues, I don't think he can represent a charity. And if Harry wants to work with British charities again, then he will have to divorce Meghan. It's not like people are coming and going to the countryside. I mean, people would be very angry if she was allowed to stay for real reasons because she's married to Harry. There is no way people can tolerate this. And if Harry returns to the UK, I hope he soon discovers that the way he treated his family, including his lack of respect for the late Queen and her husband, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, means he gave up. Any civil reaction from British citizens. And if that's true, then I'm afraid this really is a prequel to his return, and this PR version suddenly makes a lot of sense. Now I guess to help Harry out, they're gonna try to spin it that he's coming back to do more work. But honestly I believe his family is gonna have him locked away somewhere and watched by security around the clock to make sure that he can't cause any more damage to himself, his family, as well as the monarchy and the country. Reminds me of when we heard that Meghan and Harry had decided to step back from royal life, but the fact is, the Queen told them they needed to leave because they were becoming total embarrassments to the monarchy and the country by their, and mostly Meghan's, behavior. That whole Megxit story, that was all spin. The moment I see one of them up on a stage with a microphone, I just have to turn off the TV. I simply cannot listen to what they have to say. They are not doing themselves any favors. They keep on trashing their families and telling lies, which is really extra obnoxious because the lies are easily debunked the moment they leave their mouths. Instead of being grateful for everything they have, they just keep on whining and blaming the royal family for their unhappiness. As far as I am concerned, the two of them are complete fools, and I don't think Meghan Markle will be able to enter the UK. In short, according to the instructions left by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, during her lifetime, Meghan is not authorized. And I don't think Charles cancelled them because Harry was on the fastest flight out of the UK as soon as the King's coronation was over. I don't think Meghan would have given him time to spend with his family. She probably thought that if Harry was allowed to spend time with her family, he would realize how obnoxious he was and leave her. But as long as Harry remains Meghan's puppet, we won't see much of him, and I don't think we'll see her in the UK, which I think is the best situation for everyone. The only ones who won't be happy will be the very few fans left in the country. But guys, I don't think this story is over at all. William and Camilla made it clear to Charles that they never wanted to see Meghan or Harry again. Now, if the king wants to enjoy the rest of his life, then he must make Harry understand that he will not be welcomed. He must understand the feelings of his wife and Prince William. And if King Charles welcomes Harry, I fear it will be even worse than the Netflix documentary series. It's worse than Spare, and it's worse than every other story Harry and Meghan made up. If the king just lets Harry come back and Harry faces no consequences for his actions, it's like the king is saying, "Oh, yes, I know everything you've done. It wasn't that bad, and you? What do you think about Harry and Meghan's future?" Please let me know your thoughts below in the comments section and we can talk about your thoughts and feelings as well. By the way, I want to talk about some of the comments you left on the video. Meghan and Harry can't wait to see it. Kate receives a terrible inheritance from King Charles. The first two comments concern Meghan's clothing compared to Catherine. With that, you shouldn't try to swallow it whole with all those tissues. Meghan could wear something that would look good on her and she could look much better. But maybe he's just trying to look bad, I don't know. And then Summer says Princess Catherine always bought from British designers. Wear dresses again and again, just like Princess and did for 50 years. The woman will be queen, she will have to dress to the tune and be very careful about every fashion decision since before their wedding. You're right, Summer, and I think that's something a lot of people admire about Catherine. Catherine is not afraid to wear the same thing more than once. He's just a normal person, and I also love how he is so loyal to his country in supporting British designers. And then we have Moody Blue, so sad that Meghan Markle is so jealous of Catherine. She could have been his friend. Can you imagine what a wonderful friend she would be? Jealousy and resentment are bad traits, ugly traits that belong to a very ugly person, Moody Blue. Thank you for your comment. And you're right, who wouldn't want to be friends with Catherine? God, if I had the chance, would love to consider her a friend. Meghan might have considered her a friend, but unfortunately, jealousy got in the way. Okay, the next set of comments is more on the theme of reparations and Britain's colonial past. Lee claims that Britain was the first country to abolish and outlaw slavery. There are some countries in Africa where slavery is still practiced, as well as in India. So why should Britain take collective guilt for slavery, regardless of who committed it? Lee, you are absolutely right. Britain wasn't the only country that practiced slavery, and it was the first to abolish it. But I think the question we have to ask here is this enough for the Caribbean countries who are saying the royal family should apologize? I think that's the real problem here. And that's an incredibly complicated question. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. And then Laurel says invest, not give back. Return is impossible. Actually, Laurel, my personal opinion is that I agree with you. Return is impossible. It is not possible to bring these people back to life. No amount makes sense in this situation. So I agree with you, Laurel. Investing is a great alternative. Next, an interesting comment from Kitty Fan. African slaves were in fact captured by their neighbors and sold to the Arabs, who then traded with Europeans. Why don't the descendants of slaves sue their former neighbors, the Saudis or anyone? That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that question, honestly. Now, it may be that many of those who were calling on Britain to apologize or pay reparations or whatever were not even fully aware of the story. That's certainly an interesting point you bring up, Kitty Fans, so thank you. And then Kathleen wants to know, well, what is Catherine's terrible legacy? Well, of course, Kathleen, this isn't a literal inheritance for Catherine. We're talking about Catherine and William inheriting this problem of processing Britain's claims, or the royal family at least recognizing the role their family played in the slave trade. I imagine this is not an inheritance that Catherine and William would like to receive, but if the king does not see to it, I fear it will be inevitable. Next, one more comment on Catherine's clothes by Glennie Shanlin. Princess Catherine doesn't get free clothes, she pays them. This is why Meghan got yelled at when she was in the family, because the clothes were arriving every day for Meghan, free for her to use her title to sell the clothes she wore to designers. Fashion. The royal family has never done anything like this, but Meghan couldn't get her mind around it. Just because he could do it before getting married, he couldn't be a member of the family. And it wasn't just the clothes that were delivered to the palace. It was shoes, bags, and perfume, basically anything she could get her hands on. And he wondered why people called them crooks. Now designers worry that Meghan will wear their clothes because people won't buy them, because they look like they've been trampled by a herd of horses. I love the image I imagined with the latter. It's perfect, thank you for your comment. Later commentaries go further back on the theme of reparations and slavery. Gene Jones says, I read in an article a long time ago that the first slave owner was a black man in America. They would therefore also have to pay restitution. What do you think of that? Just search for the first slave owner in America and the article will be there. I will definitely look for it. It's interesting. And Gene, I agree with you. I mean, if that's true, then their family should pay compensation as much as any other family. Ultimately, of course, my personal opinion is that repairs or returns are not really the solution to this problem. But anyway, Gene, thanks again for your comment. And I will definitely Google it. And this comment from Kay Bailey in MS made me laugh too. Meghan and Harry have to give up everything and get a real job. I heard McDonald's is still hiring. So, tired of hearing about compensation, they should not attack the country that actually captured and sold them. Theirs? Because if they hadn't stolen them, they wouldn't have been sold. I think you make a very valid point, but honestly it doesn't matter what we think. What matters is what these Commonwealth countries say, and that's what the royal family needs to find a good way to deal with. On a similar topic, I really like this comment from Kathleen Singleton. The ivory collection must be preserved. It is a reminder of bad deeds. We can't change the past, but we shouldn't try to hide from it. I agree, but I prefer to learn from it. The whole story is not all roses and champagne. There are some things we need to remember, no matter how horrible they are, and make sure it never happens again. Oh, Kathleen, I love this comment, you hit the nail on the head. It is so important to always remember to honor history. I'm pretty sure every country on earth has a shameful past in one way or another. But I agree with you, that doesn't mean we should try to escape. And then a comment from Kathy Evans. 5-star hotels have laundry services and can just iron out those wrinkles. Maybe even his face. They also have hairdressers. I can't believe she did anything for herself. He does not have that. Who believes that? I know not. And then a hilarious comment from James. I keep saying that what she wore looks like the scene worn by Carol Burnett in a reproduction of Gone with the Wind. Alright, my friends, my updates for today are over. Don't be afraid to like and share my video. And don't forget, when you leave, to subscribe to the Royal Family News channel to support us even more. Thank you very much for listening. We greatly appreciate your support. Good evening. I hope everyone sleeps well at night. And we will come back to see you tomorrow.